Okay, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Um, I
Good morning.
go, all right?
I'm sorry?
We can get started.
Go for it.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm B. Gonzalez, Chair of the Joint Authority and Canal Governance Committee. This is a Joint Authority and Canal Corporation Governance Committee meeting. I want to make sure I welcome members that are present, John Koelmel, Cecily Morris, and myself, and then Louis Warren and Dennis Trainor are both excused. I also want to welcome the staff members who are present and will be presenting to us. This is a scheduled committee meeting, which has been duly noticed as required by the open meetings law. I would like to call the meeting to order. First up is I want to ask if any committee members have any amendments to the proposed agenda.
No amendments.
Well, I'm happy to move it as presented.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Cecily. All in favor? Aye. And
Aye. Oh,
the motion carries. It's going to be fun, the three of us here. First up, let me request that the next portion of the meeting be held in executive session. I'm seeking a motion to conduct an executive session to discuss the financial and credit history of a particular corporation. May I have a motion, please?
So
so
moved.
moved. Second.
Thank you. All in favor, motion carries.
Aye.
There. Thank you. So I guess we can shift into executive session. We're back in session. Could I please ask for a motion to resume the meeting in open session?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let me state that no action taken during the executive session. As we move into the discussion agenda, there's 3 items. No vote will be required, and then the consent agenda. So with that said, Nancy Garvey, diversity, equity, and accessibility update.
Okay, good morning. Morning, trustees, colleagues, and members of the public. Thank you for allowing me to update you today on our work in diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility across NYPA and canals. I'm Nancy Harvey. I'm the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer. Next slide, please. So today I'll talk about how we're moving forward. I'll talk about our ideals team and the 3 E's of impact. Next slide, please. And I'm going to talk fast because I'm trying to get through this quickly, as I promised to do. So at NYPA and Canals, we are committed to a more inclusive and accessible culture in which everyone can work, live, and recreate and enjoy New York. We believe everyone contributes and everyone belongs, and we continue to share our commitment internally and engage leaders as well as our employee resource groups to reinforce our pledge to our values. We are working across this organization. So diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility continues to be critical to high-performing teams, and it's critical to us achieving our Vision 2030. In light of recent executive orders, we are following the state's direction and received guidance from Julissa Gutierrez, our Chief Diversity Officer for the state of New York, as well as from Governor Hochul, who challenges us to foster an environment where success thrives while ensuring that those who feel left behind can still see a path forward. So the OCRI team continues to work closely with our legal team to ensure we remain in full compliance with all the laws while continuing to build upon our important work, right? Justin Driscoll, our CEO and president, said at a January all-hands meeting with our employees that we are staying the course. Our goals require high-performing teams that can overcome challenges, that can solve problems, and attract top talent. So staying the course means continuing our work under the board's direction to think big about our impact on the state as an employer, as part of the economy, and as an advocate for the environment. Next slide, please. So as I shared last year, we worked cross-functionally over the last year to evolve diversity, equity, and inclusion, that DEI working group, into the ideals to develop the 3 E's of impact for our collective action, based on our goals and values. So it's a concise platform to improve how we share our data through storytelling and keep our stakeholders informed of our intentions to be a good neighbor. We call it the 3 E's of impact across NYPA and Canals. So as an employer, we will be a manager and a magnet for the New York best, brightest, and most diverse talent. For economy, we will grow an economy that works for all of New York. And with the environment, we will drive a just and equitable transition to New York's clean energy future. So as a collective, we established our objectives to evolve our strategic platform. We wanted to re-engage our members, and we wanted to inspire work across silos. So for us, our work is all of our responsibility. We're ensuring we achieve Vision 2030 and live our values, and it's on all of us. We can be a mechanism for getting feedback and a resource to the organization as well, and we can navigate the future together, whether it's idea generation or providing a lens to leaders on the implications of achieving our goals and equitably implementing Vision 2030. The next slide, please. So back in September, we aligned on our strategic approach, and we're going to leverage the team's restructuring and our time in monthly sessions. And we're going to use our role to not be gatekeepers. So we're not gatekeepers or approvers. We're valued as subject matter experts, providing crucial perspectives and recommendations to support our leadership. Next slide, please. So ideals, which means inclusion, diversity, equity, accessibility, leadership strategy, is a group of leaders working to support marginalized and low-income disadvantaged communities, because we identified that as the most ideal space to focus our energies. And this group includes leaders from across all the strategic priorities and the foundational pillars of NYPA. So to support NYPA and Canals, we are convening as leaders, and we will form a mechanism for feedback and be a resource for the organization as we all navigate the future. We're going to generate ideas or provide leaders with a lens on the implications of achieving our goals and equitably implementing our strategy around Vision 2030. We're collaborating with internal, external, and stakeholder groups to review our policies, procedures, programs, and partnerships, using a demographic lens, of course, to ensure that there's equitable access for all. And we're also going to advise NYPA and Canal leadership on creating action plans that center on inclusive values and address barriers and the potential implications of executing our vision for underrepresented and for what we call LIDAC communities. Next slide, please. So since the last update, we've established our purpose. We aligned on how to share the impact we aim to have by staying committed and aligning how we communicate internally and externally through the 3 E's of impact, which are, as you can see, employer, economy, and environment. Next slide, please. And this is just a preview of what we're planning to do through June of this year. And that is through the DEIA Executive Leadership Summit that we'll have. And we'll continue to evolve this program and build it out as the year continues. Next slide. We plan to keep everyone informed of our activities. We'll be reporting to the board like we're doing here to governance. We also working to understand our trends, and we will keep EMC and our CEO and president informed by having them participate in our activities throughout the year. And we'll provide recommendations and actions. Next slide, please. So looking further down the road, we will pilot a cross-functional planning effort around economy. And that's the economy pillar, starting with a session on data and governance. And we're meeting tomorrow, actually, to discuss the best structure for our work and our decision-making. We'll use the pilot to try out planning templates and work through an action planning process to bring a streamlined approach to the other two pillars. As we prepare for the 2024 integrated report, we will work to understand deeper trends, progress, and where we need to take action. So we plan to work through each of the 3 E's of impact to identify trends, starting with understanding our data. And to that end, we're reviewing how often we're reviewing data more often to shift how we communicate and how we measure our impact. So we'll look at things like the percentage of employee participation and access and eligibility to our programs. You know, looking at things like sharing lessons with leadership, along with recommendations for enhancement and changes. We're monitoring shifts and their impacts on our results and the participation. And over the coming year, you'll hear us talk differently about our data, and we'll still provide access to our appendix in the integrated report. You also hear updates from the subject matter experts on our progress towards key initiatives. We are taking this path together. So next slide, please. You'll hear more about the 3 E's of impact on how our work is impacting our employees, our environment, and our economy. So for employment purposes, we're creating a safe, respectful workplace where our employees and customers feel welcomed and psychologically safe. So this work will encompass our internal talent effort. We're going to look through our ERGs and external volunteer efforts to build community and develop the pipeline of the future for programs like P-TECH and policies that allow more people to bring their talent and their full selves to NYPA and Canals. For economy, that's looking like addressing gaps in access for employees and for our customers and our partners. That encompasses investing in our diverse supply chain and growing our annual spend and grants to local communities like the On the Canals Accessibility Education Program. And then there's environment, advocating for clean energy solutions and supporting our communities, industries, and neighbors. And that looks like encompassing work to lower the cost and increase access to clean energy for all New Yorkers, including supporting and awarding underrepresented students pursuing a STEM degree in environmental justice communities, and working towards careers in the energy industry. Next slide, please. So we're walking the path forward together. And by using the 3 E's of impact framework, we can see how our work across the organization, from employer to economy to environment, supports the vision and mission and values of our organization. So I'll close with, at NYPA and Canals, we are and we remain committed to a more inclusive culture where everyone can work, live, and enjoy New York. Thank you. Any questions?
I appreciate the update, Nancy. Obviously, from a board standpoint, I want to ensure you and the entire organization know you have our support, and our expectations haven't waned. So appreciate your leadership.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
B, you're on mute.
And I said such beautiful things and I was on mute.
Was it about me?
The key is that I appreciate the intersectionality that is visible in this strategy. And I think that will leverage our impact. So thank you very much. And I think I see Ron Carroll at the podium already.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, trustees, colleagues, and members of the public. I'm Ron Carroll, VP of Product Development and Data Management here at NYPA. I've been partnering with Marwan Mahdi to lead our overall AI strategy, and I'm here today to give you an update on some of the great progress that we're making. Next slide, please. So there's a few key highlights that I want to cover today. We continue to make good progress with the maturing of the AI capabilities within the organization, the delivery of use cases and the benefits and values that we're seeing from those use cases, and our engagement and leadership with partners across the state and the energy industry. We also continue to monitor changes at the state, federal, and AI industry level to determine benefits or potential impacts to NYPA. And we are also staying true to our approach to drive innovation through AI in a responsible way. So I want to call out a few of the advancements that we've made in the organizational capabilities. So data is key to good AI. If you don't have good data, your AI is going to be suspect. So in late third quarter, fourth quarter, early fourth quarter, we did an assessment of our data management capabilities to determine the maturity and what we needed to do to not only support AI, but also support Vision 2030. We've developed a roadmap and we're now executing on that roadmap. I'll highlight education, communication, and adoption. We're rolling out new capabilities. We want to make sure people understand what they are, how they use them responsibly. So we have developed a AI literacy program. We're actually going out to different business units to talk about the capabilities that we've implemented so that they can use them and get the benefit out of those. We've also partnered with our communication folks to communicate our successes both internally and externally. Use case prioritization. Since Gen AI became a thing, we've really seen an uptick in the number of use cases coming our way. So we've developed a prioritization process that looks at both the value of the use case and also the feasibility to help with prioritization. And then the last one I'll highlight is governance and risk. I figured that was appropriate for this group here. So we've conducted a pilot of our risk register and the controls that we have created, and we used our internal NYPA ChatGPT tool called Athena to really test that. We conducted an audit of our delivery of Athena and the controls that were put in place, and that was completed with no observations reported. We will now use that risk register to assess other AI applications that are being delivered. Next slide, please. So Athena, much easier apparently to say than ChatGPT today. So we are using Athena. Since we rolled out in October of 2024, we've had about 32,000 conversations. So a conversation, I think I've demoed this in the past, is when you ask a question and you get a response back. That's a conversation. We have about 700 employees using Athena. This is about a 30% adoption rate. That's not as high as we would like it to be. So, which is why we're going out and going to different business units to try to drive more adoption. The thing I will say though, with the folks that are using it, 70+% are using it frequently. And we call frequent users using it more than 3 times a week. So that's the folks that use it, they know the benefit and they are using it. The cost, as you can see there, for those 32,000 conversations, it's less than $2,200 total. So relatively inexpensive to support the capabilities. Athena is being used for things like drafting emails, preparing for a presentation to the board, talking points. I don't know. I might have done that. But it's also being used for some more, I'll say, unique use cases. We're helping people like Dave do his work more efficiently. And so an example there is decarbonization scenario analysis, asking questions and putting data into Athena to ask questions about, hey, I have this much of a budget. What scenarios are most efficient considering that budget? And it'll provide different scenarios. Looking at the year-end financial report, and we have updates to key projects using Athena to take multiple documents together and make those updates, then passing it on to a subject matter expert to validate that it's accurate, but just an example of how we're using that. We had public comments come in for renewables. We used Athena to help generate code that would identify and strip out any PII or PHI information so that we can then publish that without worrying about that data being exposed. Next slide, please. So we have some other use cases that we've delivered using Gen AI, robotic process automation, and other coding techniques. And you can see the hours that we're saving here. These hours are being used really to do more with the same resources, or allowing employees to free up some of their capacity to work on some of the key initiatives like Project Illuminate. Next slide, please. So a hackathon. So a hackathon is really a one-day event where we bring together IT folks and business partners to come and work on a problem. And at the end of the day, the goal is you deliver a solution. So back in December, we had a hackathon working in partnership with sustainability and procurement, looking at the problem of EO22 requires certain procurement requirements be met when we're purchasing products. And so in today's world, it's a manual process. You're looking at requirements from EO22, and you're looking at product specs as you're trying to buy whatever it is, paper towels or dry ice to or ice melt to melt the ice on the sidewalks. So it's a highly manual process. What we did at the end of this is we actually delivered a solution that's using AI to pull in those different pieces of information to then identify whether the product meets the requirements or not. So it increases the efficiency and also the accuracy. Now, whoever is searching for a product, the common theme, human in the loop, you need to make sure and validate and read the product, but this is at least gives the person a start in terms of what the answer looks like. And I'll do a demo of that at the end of the presentation so you can see what was delivered really. And it was scheduled from 8:30 to 5. The team was so excited about it and working through some problems, they continued from 8:30 to 8:30. And we actually had to kick them out but it was a great success in terms of in leaving work that day feeling like you truly accomplished something. So it is a model that we plan on using going forward as we start working on other use cases. Next slide, please. So our external engagement, I'll highlight a couple of examples here. So Trustee Gonzalez, she connected me with a student that she met through the Angelo Del Toro Puerto Rican and Hispanic Leadership Program. This student is a senior at West Genesee High School, just south of Syracuse. He and a couple of his fellow students are working on a project to enable AI in their school. And so they reached out to me to find out, hey, how did we implement AI? How did you develop a policy? What would a policy like that look like in a school? So I met with them the end of February and shared what we're doing, and I hope to continue that relationship going forward to see what they roll out. We continue to lead and participate in.
And thank you for doing
yeah,
that.
thank you. You're welcome. Great, thank you. We continue to lead and participate in multiple industry groups related to AI and data. The New York State Forum AI group, I'm a member of the steering committee there. We are a member of the EPRI Data Management Project, and as I mentioned, data is key to AI. We've presented at a number of industry and technology panels and conferences, the Utility Analytics Institute, EPRI, and we're also leveraging the expertise of our technology and advisory partners to assist with our overall strategy and guide us as we go forward. Next slide, please. So one thing we're also doing is there's a lot of change happening, both in the legislation perspective and also in the technology perspective. So we're monitoring changes at the state and federal level. A few examples I'll highlight here. The New York State Loading Act was enacted in late December, and this really looks at how government agencies are leveraging AI and automation to make decisions and limiting the amount of automated decisions that could be made. We've done an assessment of our AI capabilities and the solutions that we've delivered. And, you know, I keep saying this, I think it's the third time I've said it in this session, human in the loop. We have human in the loop in our solutions so that we are not making automated decisions based on, you know, the machine. One of the things that we did last year, we did an inventory of all our AI solutions. It made it much easier to do that assessment. We knew what they were, we knew where they were, how they were being used. So we were able to make that assessment. And we're developing kind of a framework for how we would look at new AI capabilities coming in to make sure we continued to align with that. At the federal level, in January, there was an executive order that removed, it's the Removing Barriers to American Leadership in Artificial Intelligence. This is essentially rolling back some of the previous administration orders that were put in place. It's kind of too early to tell here. There is an action plan that's due 180 days after that order was put into place. So we'll continue to monitor that and you know, determine how that may impact NYPA. The next one I'll comment on is DeepSeek. And I think there's been a lot of press around DeepSeek. DeepSeek hit the newswire and generated a lot of excitement. The bottom line is we're going to follow the same approach that we have with other AI advancements to ensure we are aligned with our guiding principles of responsible AI. At this point, we're not currently using it because we don't necessarily see that we have any use cases that would require it. But if we go down the path of starting to test it, we will test it in an isolated environment to understand its capabilities and then determine how we roll that out. Same way that we've done with other AI capabilities that we've rolled out. And then the last two comments there, AI agents, agentic AI. These are terms that you may hear, more to come on those in the future. It's essentially where the industry is going. AI agents to perform a task, and then agentic AI is essentially stringing together multiple agents to complete a workflow. So with that, let me share my screen, and I can do a quick demo of the solution that we created as part of the hackathon. Okay. So can you, yeah, you can see that. So this is the green spec check. So when you go in, if you have a product that you're looking for, you would enter either a URL, a product name, or a description. I have one that I've done before. You would select the category. There's different categories, and then you would select the subcategory and do a search. And I'll do through like the magic of television here and feel like I'm on a baking show. We'll just switch forward to what that's doing in the background is it's actually going out and doing a search on the internet to pull specs from that product, bringing that forward. And then it's also taking the specifications from EO22 and from a database internally that we have and bringing those together to give you an answer. And you can see for this one, I searched on a battery and it's saying, well, the product, compliance status is no. And so I can click on this detail. And these are the requirements from EO22. There's minimum requirements, and then there's additional desirable requirements. The minimum requirements need to be met in order for the product to be purchased. The other requirements, desirable, but not a must-have. So this was all done in a day. As I said, we've been working with the team to continue to modify it and make it better, but really kind of an exciting way to deliver use cases. So that's all I have. I'll take questions if there are any.
John, Cecily?
No questions. Always interesting.
It's a dynamic environment that we have to, that change, I think the sheet that showed the hours saved, that was, that's just a snapshot of how this is going to change the workplace.
Yes.
I appreciate the update. Look forward to hearing more. And yeah, how we can be all the more effective, all the more efficient.
So thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all.
Next up, Committee on Governance update.
Good day, trustees, colleagues, and members of the public. My name is Joe Gryzlo. I'm the Chief Ethics and Compliance Officer. I'm pleased to introduce today a new governance initiative at NYPA that has been undertaken by the Ethics and Compliance Office relating to committee governance. The formation, execution, and dissolution of committees is very important, obviously, to NYPA and Canals. This was born out of an internal audit, which had some very relevant recommendations to enhance committee frameworks, standardization, and value for NYPA and Canals. While we're relatively early on in this initiative, we have accomplished a fair amount already. Next slide, please. We've developed and published a new company policy and related procedures. We've done a training to all applicable employees on the new policy, a sign and a test and procedure. And we've created a committee governance portal on the NYPA PowerNet intranet page with frequently asked questions and other relevant information. We are sifting our way through the inventory of known committees at NYPA and Canals with an eye to ensuring that they all have an executive sponsor at the executive management committee level, as well as a repeatable charter that'll follow a standard framework. What this initiative is not about is the Ethics and Compliance Office looking to impose its judgment on committee purposes and outcomes. We are looking to create efficiencies and ultimately perhaps retire some obsolete committees, if not consolidate others, so we can have more defined outputs. More to come on this initiative. I'm pleased to take any questions or comments you may have.
No, housekeeping.
It appears that this is going to benefit overall communication. as you said, combining some committees, getting rid of ones that are obsolete. So you're bringing people to the table in a different format, but that's always good for communication.
How
Yes, I
many committees
appreciate
do
that
we have
comment.
today?
We are aware of approximately 100 committees. Not to be confused with working groups and task forces and other nomenclature, which we'll get to in due course.
Yeah, it's hard to comprehend the objectives of 100 committees, but that's probably a little too skeptical or worst case cynical.
That's why the spring cleaning is.
I'm confident that number will be reduced.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Like I
Thank you.
said, it's a good housekeeping exercise here. Thank you. So, we've had 3 presentations, no vote was required. Now we move on to the consent agenda, which consists of routine housekeeping items and is now before the members for adoption. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Cecily. All in favor?
Aye.
And the motion carries. So having gone through all of the items on the agenda, the next meeting of the governance committee is scheduled for October 14th, 2025. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.